Well, Jose, thank you so much for helping with my project. Could you say a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Jose Mondragon. I live in Brownsville, Texas. I am a student pilot, so I've always had an interest in space. Anything relating to space exploration, aviation, things like that, technology. That all fascinates me. So I'm very excited to be asked these questions by you.
Just out of curiosity, which plane are you learning on? Is it the Cessna 172 or something else?
That's correct. Cessna 172 is just the beginning stages of any private course for private license or for aviation.
Have you done your first solo yet?
I have. It's very exciting. I have done my very first solo. It was really exciting. I can't describe it. It's kind of like it's a very proud moment. I've done a lot of cool things, and that's probably one of the proudest things that other people don't feel so much proud about or whatever pride about. But it's very exciting to me, and it means a lot. So yeah.
Just out of curiosity, how many hours did it take before you got comfortable enough to do your first solo?
Well, I soloed within 8 hours,
Whoa.
but I did very well in the test and everything. But my instructor basically felt very comfortable with letting me fly within the 8 hours. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure they tell them, if the student's not comfortable, they'll let you know. And I knew it was coming. I was getting to that line, and we're doing those kind of all the last things that you would do that I've heard others do before doing a solo. So I knew it was coming, but at the moment that he told me, I felt a little uneasy. I was a little nervous. Obviously, I felt I like asking him, "Are you sure? Are you sure that I can solo?" But I just remember, yeah, I guess I am ready, and I've just done in front of him everything that I would do if he's off the plane. Um, I don't know if I can talk a little bit about it, but
Please tell me.
okay,
I mean, because I'm also a private pilot. I did
awesome,
7 hours in 1996.
nice,
And then right before this pandemic started, I had done about another, 14 hours or so.
okay.
And then I haven't been flying all year long, and I've been really missing it. And I've been
Yeah.
alternating between this is the best thing in life to, oh my gosh, why am I putting myself in a risky situation?
Yeah, it's kind of it's like a double-edged sword, right? It's definitely an exciting thing and definitely fun. And then once you're not doing it, you want to do it, and then when you do it, you're like, hey, this is risky too. Um, yeah, I'm in the same boat. I haven't flown in a while. I've flown with some friends about a month ago, but I haven't flown in a while. Because of all this, all this is putting a stress in different areas of what I do. So I haven't been able to fly. It's expensive and all that. But I want to tell you about my solo. Uh, I felt ready, right? I decided, hey, I'm ready to do it. And I remember my instructor telling me, okay, just so you know, it's gonna feel a little bit lighter when I get off this plane. It's just
Oh,
gonna be a
that's a
little bit
good
lighter. So
point.
just, I'm sorry.
I said that's a good point. I never really considered that. I mean, you've lost
Yeah,
about
and
200 pounds or so.
I've actually heard others saying, "Hey, it's a lot lighter." When your instructor's not there, it feels the plane behaves differently. And I remember saying, "Yeah, I've heard this one before." My friends have warned me that the plane's gonna be lighter. And he's not a heavy guy; he's a skinny guy. He's like, "Yeah, so my fat butt is gonna get off the plane now. So just be prepared for when it's lighter. You know what to do, either trim or push down on your controls or whatever." Well, I remember thinking this is it, and I went for full throttle, right? I'm about to take off, and I'm holding it down, holding it down, holding it down, ready to go. The speed's up to where it's supposed to. I pick up, and I just feel that thing go straight into the air, right? And I felt I had about half a second where I was really scared. I was like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna stall," because that thing was just climbing. But I right away I looked up at my positive rate, my my airspeed, and my rate of climb, and I was doing good. I was just skyrocketing up there. So it was fun. I kind of yelled out, a big yell all by myself in the plane. So big Yahoo. So I just remember that being the only terrifying part. More than landing, it's just that initial. It felt like I was going like this. I'm sure I was just going slowly like this. But it felt like I was gonna fall on my butt and stall the plane because I was climbing so much faster compared to when the instructor was with me.
Yeah, I mean it's a small plane. It doesn't take that much. I mean the other side of it is, you know, you go with some cargo, and then suddenly, you know, you have the opposite situation.
Yeah, exactly. So you got to be prepared for both. And I flew here down in South Texas near Brownsville. So it's always constantly windy. The wind is always from the coast. The southeasterly winds are always, so we get a really good practice for crosswinds. The airport where we fly off was kind of designed a little bit wrong back in the early days. So the winds have changed since then, and we always have crosswinds. So it was a good practice to be in that situation that I was, because it's always windy and it's always getting crosswind. So you get a good practice for landings.
Yeah, I mean that's right. I mean you have like the cross there, the two runways, and
Mhm.
neither one of them go towards the coast.
Exactly, exactly. It's kind of, it's a good and a bad thing, right? It's a blessing and a curse, because it teaches you how to. You don't want to have it easy to learn how to fly, because you're gonna be exposed to windy situations one day, and you gotta know what to do.
Have you had a chance to fly over to Boca Chica and see the SpaceX facility?
I have. I didn't get too close, but I did get. I want to say maybe half a mile to where it was, and at that time it was SN8 was out on the launch pad, so I
Wow.
got to see it. It was awesome. Um, and then flew out to along the coast, along the South Padre Island, and then back around, and then saw it again on the way back home. It was a beautiful day. I have pictures of it. I'll show you if anything. Um, but yeah, it's exciting. It's fun. I want to go again. I told my friend, hey, there's a guy that's an RGB guy, a Rio Grande Valley guy who's doing that. It's taking photography for SpaceX and sharing it with a bunch of people and getting donations. And I was like, hey, I could do that, man. We should go. We should go do that and take a bunch of pictures. And I went a couple of weeks ago. We did the sea turtle rescue thing and got to see the rockets again. So right before the SN9 launch, it was SN9 and SN10 both out on the launch pad, right? So I have pictures of both of those out on the launch pad. So it's fun.
And the big thing this week, SN10 Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, maybe.
Yeah, I hope so. I don't know where to get the. My phone is flooded with trying to get information. I have a couple of friends that are doing some labor there at SpaceX, like welding and stuff like that. So they don't know a lot of information. Only when they're called off to work. It's like, hey, we might have a launch today, but I don't know really where to get the information, who's to believe, or when is it to just see the live stream going. And oh man, I gotta drive out there to see if I can catch it. Right?
Yeah, I'd love to see one of those launches someday. And there's an airport right next to my house. My dream is to eventually be able to fly from here to Brownsville. The
Oh, there
crosswinds are kind of scaring me. I didn't think about that so much.
you go.
But yeah, maybe I need to practice some crosswind
The
landings and stuff.
crosswinds, yeah, for sure.
It's really difficult, you know, because you got to fly into the wind until you get into ground effects, and then you need to
Yeah.
straighten out the plane so
Yeah.
that you're going straight with the runway. I
So
mean, wow.
yeah, so the way my instructor puts it, he would I've gone with different instructors, right? So one is like, hey, adjust the plane to where you're flying straight towards the runway. Let's say this is the lined up runway, right? Going fly straight into it, but always you're kind of crabbing and correcting and switching your pedals, pushing your pedals at the same time to do this, right? And land straight. Whereas the other one is you're just kind of crabbing into the wind, and at the very end you correct, right? So it's two very different ways of. I went with another instructor, like, what are you doing? Let's crab into the wind. It's easier, it depends on, it's a matter of choice. So I think it's a good idea to go with several people so you know how to do it both ways. So
Yeah,
yeah.
or at least if you're a co-pilot and the person you're flying with starts doing it one way, you don't freak out.
Yeah, exactly. Let them know, if you just take the plane and go sideways like this, you're like, hey, what's happening with this plane? Why are we gonna, land in the sideways position? But yeah, people don't realize that planes most of the time don't fly straight. They fly, according to where the wind is facing them. They're flying like this, and the wind is taking an effect on their route.
Oh, exactly. Where the plane's pointed is very different than the ground track.
Right, exactly. We see the planes from our houses or whatever, and they look straight to us, but they're not. They're flying, pointing somewhere else.
Um, well, what got you into flying? I mean,
Well, since I was a kid, it was one of those dreams, like either a firefighter or a Formula One driver or a ninja, or it was like a kid dream. And then as I got a little bit older, those kind of dreams were kind of fading away. And I said, what do I want to do something that I love? What would it be? I said, you know what? I've always wanted to fly. I love heights. I love seeing everything from above. And why not chase the dream, right? If I don't become a commercial aviator, I'll still do some personal flying, private flying, maybe even do private flying for somebody. So um, I started trying to do that, right? Just basically, that was the reason, really, because I love geography. I love seeing things from above and getting a different perspective of where we are.
So are you thinking about getting like 1,500 hours and getting your commercial
That would
license?
be the dream, right? I mean, I would now I realize while I'm doing that you need to have a real job in order to fly and spend all your money there. I suppose, unless you're in the military, which I'm not, um, or you have a long line of flying family or something. It's expensive for me to do that. So yeah, I mean, as far as I can with what I have, it would be the dream. But yeah, at least to be able to be a private pilot or commercial private pilot in a small scale, not in a maybe not in a commercial airliner, but in a smaller plane or something like that, turboprop or something.
But I think most people finance it by getting to like the 120 hours, become a flight instructor, and then they
Right.
basically do that for the next 1,300 hours.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully that's something that I can get into.
Wow, good deal. I mean, I look forward to coming down there. We had to go flying together.
Yeah, man,
Uh,
come on down.
yeah,
We'll do
I
it.
know David, the gentleman that got us
Yeah.
in touch, he just took his written like a week or two ago. I think last
Hmm.
week, actually.
Right. He's very excited. He got a 97. He's trying to rub it in my face because I haven't taken that one in a
Was it
while, and I got a 96.
97 or 98? I have to
Oh, I
take a
don't
look.
know. I don't
I have to
remember. We
take a
gotta look.
look. He sent me a screenshot, so
Oh yeah.
yeah, I could find out for sure. I remember thinking, whoa, that's pretty amazing. I told him I'd take
Yeah.
it this month, in March before the end of March is over, but I think I'm gonna give myself a little bit more time,
Same. I'm gonna
because
review.
I mean now now there's like competition. Um,
Yeah.
well, not competition. I'm just trying to make the grade. I'd like to still be friends afterwards.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Well, that's how I felt. I'm like,
I know
I
you're
used to
right.
have the
97, 97. I gave him an extra point. I mean, David's such a good guy. I in my head, I always give him extra points.
extra points. Yeah. Yeah. He's a nice guy. David's good people, man. He's excited to come and fly. So I told him, hey man, when are you coming to fly? He's looking for an instructor down here. So I said, yeah, man, whenever, let me know when you go so I can go tag along. It's fun.
And he does the skydiving thing too. You're thinking about doing that?
Yeah. No, I'm not that crazy. I mean, I wouldn't mind to try it one time, but it's not what I want to do. You know what I mean? Uh, now that I've learned a little bit about airplanes, I think I'm safer stalling an airplane, or being stuck without an engine than falling off the sky with no protection. So, not that I'm afraid of doing it, but I'm not chasing any accidents or anything. I would love to try it once or twice, but I don't have a thrill or a death wish either.
Yeah, David's like above and below. He's like doing the scuba diving and skydiving.
Right. Yeah, he has a
It's
scuba
like,
diving license. That's true. I've done a little bit of scuba diving, but I mean, I love anything that puts us in a different perspective of where we usually are, right? So I love the fact that as natural human beings, we're not meant to fly. We don't have wings. So when we see things from way up high, it's you're doing something that not a lot of humans in the history of humans have been able to do, right? We're not meant to fly. We don't have wings yet. Our brains let us create these machines and allow us to do that, travel to space even, right? So it's exciting to me.
pretty amazing stuff. Yeah, I mean, we weren't made to live in like the Arctic weather either,
Yeah,
but now we can, or even in
now we can.
space. I mean, is there anything that should limit us? Is there anything that we should go and say, no, this is like the end of it, or should we just keep going?
Right. Right, exactly. as long as we have resources and we take care of the planet, I'm all for exploration, right? I'm kind of a little bit following. Also, I do follow a little bit of the belief that Elon Musk has. You know that we're we need to become an interplanetary species, right? Because the inevitable is going to happen. If we're going to get either tomorrow or in a few thousand years or in a million years, there's going to be a meteor or something that's going to crash with us, or we need to develop ways to know how to deal with doomsday, if you will. So we want to keep living, and I mean not just our lives, right? But uh, for the species to be alive, we need to explore all kinds of things. Live underwater, live in space, live in another planet, find other planets, find another Earth. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I love Earth, and it's the only one we have. We need to take care of it. But I'm all for exploration.
Yeah, I personally kind of have a slightly different twist to that. And, I think we need to develop Mars and create a viable transportation system between Earth and Mars to really create that economic incentive to create better space capabilities that would let us protect the Earth.
Right. Oh, okay. That makes sense.
I
I
mean,
mean,
because
it's
it doesn't make any sense to fly to the middle of the desert, but look at Las Vegas.
yeah, exactly, right? It's party town. Yeah. So I'm sure many, very rich people and very rich companies would like to invest in going to Mars, going to the moon, going to another planet, whether that's in the, in the far future or whatever. You're right. If there's somewhere where people can make a buck, we'll develop the technology, and that technology will hopefully trickle down to helping Earth as well, right? Keeping us alive and healthy.
It's kind of interesting. I think it was something like in the 1900s, the U.S. Navy recorded twice as many tsunamis in the Pacific than it did in the 1800s.
Right.
And on one hand, you might be going like climbing global climate change and all this, but on the other hand, is we really weren't active in the Pacific in the 1800s. But
Hmm.
then, we started developing like a lot of ships over there.
Okay.
So like we're not that active in space, and so we're kind of observing space half-heartedly, right?
Right.
But the moment we start having active transportation to places, and it becomes, we're going to be observing a lot more. We're going to see a lot more of the asteroids and the dangers, but we're also going to have a lot more capability to go out there and meet them and
Right.
do
Exactly.
something to
About
protect
it,
the
right?
Earth.
To avoid, for example, an incoming, meteor strike or something, whatever. Yeah, I agree. It still astounds me. I still think of myself as a young guy, but when I was a kid, there was only 9 planets, and that's all we knew, right? And then every day we're finding planets, and we only knew of our galaxy, and we thought there, of course, there has to be more galaxies out there, and then turns out there's unmeasurable amount of galaxies, right? So I'm sure there is a way we can at least try to reach out one of those planets, reach out one of those meteors or whatever as bodies of space, and we have a space station now, right? We can live in space. So if we find resources somewhere, either our Earth or other planets, we can definitely live in other places, which is just crazy to think that we can do that in such a small amount of time, 100 years or whatever since we started flying, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of funny about the whole flying thing. What was it? 1901 was the Wright brothers or something like that, and
Something
then
like, I want to, yes, 19, I want to say somewhere around there.
yeah, and then by like 1930s, or the fighter jet and the bomber, and then
Hmm.
you start having like the
Jets
747
and
gets.
rockets.
Yeah, I mean, it just like came so quick. And then, whenever you had them land on the moon, like we went from not launching a single astronaut to landing people on the moon in a decade. Those people really felt gypped whenever
Yeah.
when it just stopped.
Yeah. It's like, hey, where's my flying car, right? And all that stuff. Where's my jets and stuff?
Where's
So
my trip to the moon?
yeah,
You know?
exactly. Yeah, I think it's a We lose interest easily once we accomplish something. But if we set other goals like Mars or other types of exploration, you're right. We develop all these technologies, right? Uh, Exploring space is what gave us satellites. Was able to do television. Was able to do communication. It's the beginning of the internet because of this. We thought we need to connect this whole world somehow, and these are all byproducts of other technologies, right? Not to mention space defense, right? Military defense or nuclear weapons or nuclear missiles or things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, every time somebody says, uh, why are we spending so many billions to go to the moon when we have people starving on Earth or global climate change? And my mind immediately goes to nuclear weapons. It's like nobody says that about nuclear weapons. Oh, of course we
Yeah.
need them. I mean, of course. I mean, why wouldn't we be the first to destroy the world? That's what we need to do, you
Of
know?
course, right.
You
It
know,
sounds
just
smart. It sounds
explore
like
other worlds. And I mean, if we go to space, our nuclear arsenals would be, compromised because we couldn't get everybody.
exactly. There you go. Exactly. We have too many, right?
Yeah. So when did you find out that we were planning to go to the moon in 2024?
I didn't. I still don't know where that's coming from or what statement that is from. I know that Elon Musk is always throwing numbers about going to Mars, right? He's like, oh, well, then we're going to go to the moon in 2022 or 2024. And he changes next day to be 2024. And we're going to maybe use it as a base or whatever. So I didn't know that NASA was planning to go to the moon exactly on 2024. I know it was in the near future, but we didn't have an exact date. Do we have an exact date? Do we have a program um, already planned out for 2024?
Well, let me tell you the story, and then I'll ask your opinion. So around I think February or March of 2019, Mike Pence, the vice president at the time, had a meeting of National Space Council, which has like the heads of the commerce, transportation, energy, NASA, and says NASA's currently planning to send people to the moon in 2028. We could do better. Let's make it 2024. And Jim Bridenstine goes and really puts the heat on to get us to the moon in 2024. He's talking about launching the Orion on a test flight using a commercial rocket instead of the SLS and save the SLS for the real flight of astronauts. This upsets a lot of people. Mike Pence even says, if the contractors that we have aren't up to it, let's go get different contractors. So I mean, they're
Okay.
like really putting the thing. Then in like November, they hire, they appoint an associate administrator for human spaceflight called Doug Laverio, and he is committed to getting us to the moon by 2024. So he has like a little lapel pin that he has a number of days down to the end of 2024. And he starts highlighting a NASA person of the day, in terms of being the hero that's getting us to the moon. And they get like the human landing system contracts and competitions in place and all that. And actually, Doug Laverio on his little Pell pen is one of the reasons why I started this project, because I was like, "Oh, that's great. Ask and ask the people. What do everyday people think?" So I was planning to go up to people at coffee shops. A little hard to
Right.
do these days. I did that between December and March, but
Okay.
since March, I've had to do it online. Um, so that's been that. But um, right now, the official plan is 2024. But the thing though is, the first test flight at SLS, according to that plan, was supposed to be last year, and that got delayed. And in fact, the static firing test that they did lasted like 1 minute instead of 8 minutes, like they were planning. And people have their doubts on if that's going to be able to launch in time. The human landing system, they didn't get as much money as they wanted to be able to keep as many people involved. They got 3 teams competing for it. And pretty much everybody says the 2024 date's impossible, at least according to the NASA plan. But
Right.
NASA is currently doing a review to try to figure out what the right dates are. So I doubt NASA will be putting people on the moon in 2024, but I'm hoping before 2024, NASA does put people around the moon. SpaceX does the Dear Moon project, which tomorrow there's
Right.
supposed to be some announcement about that.
Okay.
And so anyway, so I have those hopes. So people on the moon by 2024, that might be a stretch at this point, but um, you know, the official word's that, and I'm kind of counting down to the end of 2024. So let's just keep it going for as long as we can.
Yeah, and I think you have to set crazy goals, right? Like that they did back in the 60s, you know, but you have to set crazy goals to get somewhere. And maybe you don't, maybe if it's not 2024, that means a year or two behind, it's still good, you know. But we have to set up crazy goals to accomplish a certain date, you know. We have to expect that we're not gonna do it at the same time. So maybe say like, let's do it next year. That way we can get to 2024, you know. So yeah, I there's a lot of different ways that can be done, or people have many different ideas about the funding and all that. Like you mentioned, SpaceX was one of the companies that has a plan for the moon. They have a lot of things going on, so I don't know where their plan stays. I don't. I'm not an astrophysicist or anything, or a space explorer or anything. But I always thought, hey, if we want to go to Mars, it would be great to create a space station on the moon. Maybe send a couple of rockets back and forth from the moon, collects resources, and then launch from the moon, right? Because it's easier to escape an atmosphere in the moon than it is from Earth, which costs a lot of money. So we'll be saving there, but also get people accustomed to what it's like to being in outer space, especially for long periods of time in a different environment. So that to me is something that I think, in order to go to Mars, it would make sense to go to the moon too first. You know, I mean, we've done it, but it's just kind of like just to prove a point, stick a flag and collect a couple of rocks and learn a little bit about it. But there's not a station up there. There's not a something that we can that gets people's attention again on space exploration.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's going to be a fundamental point when people with a telescope can look at the moon and see evidence of humanity on the moon. I think that is going to make it real for so many people.
Yeah. Oh, of course. I mean, those people that are denying all sorts of. There's just, you either believe it or you believe it, because you're gonna get stuck behind. It's unbelievable what the human species has been able to do in less than 100 years, right? So I understand that it's hard to believe many times that all the things that technology can do now, but it's gonna leave you behind if you don't get into it, right? So I'm
Yeah, and
all for.
that's a good point about leaving us behind. I mean, I feel like that we need to um, really make school harder. we
Yeah,
need a we need a people should become great at math and language and working in teams and doing projects and learning science, not just learning scientific facts, but actually going through the process of figuring out stuff like
right.
you know
Critical
um
analysis, critical thinking, development of the sciences, not just get stuck to learning what we already know. It's like, hey, this is what we already know, but what can we do next? Where is this taking us? I study history. I have a degree in history, so people always tell me like, "Oh my God, I hate history. It's so boring," and I get it. Most people, I have to remember these dates. I don't care who won the revolution of whatever, and I try to tell them that it's because it's the way that it's taught. Or to me, it's the way that it's taught, right? I believe that who cares about the dates? They're correct. It's not about the dates, but history explains why things are the way they are now, right? That's what we need to learn these things. So the same with education, right? What we learn, if we want to get to the moon, is like, hey, well, there's already a process. There's a stepping ladder that humanity has developed. How can we build on that, right? Don't just learn this just because you need to learn it and spit out facts about space or facts about the world, but how what are we going to do to be better at it and to improve on it, basically. So you're right. I think school should be made more difficult, and there's so many people out there that don't get a chance at a fair education and stuff. So I think I am a high advocate for education for all as much as possible, right? Because there's brilliant minds all over the world that don't get a shot at these things, and it all revolves around obviously having the financial uh, the financial access to a great education, right? So
I don't know. I've met a lot of dumb rich people.
Yeah, there you go. Well, it's now I agree with you. There's a because of the internet, instead of sometimes a lot of people that are don't have access to this education use it correctly as a tool to bring their level of education higher, whereas people that are comfortable with their lives, they use it to dumb us down, right? So we use it on we waste a lot of time on useless things or creating humor, which is part of the human experience, but we could use the internet, the information superhighway in a way better way than just memes, right?
Oh, exactly. I mean, it's all about what sharpens us, what makes us brighter. Um, you know. But what do you think about us going to back to the moon? Yeah, I mean, do you think it's a good thing, bad thing, right timing, wrong timing? What do you think?
I think it's a good thing. I know SpaceX wants to go to Mars. Like I said, I think I always thought as a, why not have a station on the moon? Why not be a launching point, or why not be a preparation point? Not only does it is it exciting for the youth to teach them, hey, look, we're doing the same thing again. We're gonna go back to the moon. You can go to a different body, celestial body. You can this can be you going back and forth to the moon. This will get, like you said, more people interested, companies investing in it, um, uh, making commercial routes. This will only create jobs, opportunities, I think. Um, and like you said, even develop technologies that could help us in other ways to help our planet in other ways. So I think it's a great idea. I don't know why we haven't done it before. Like you said, where's my flying car? Right? Since the '60s, we've been waiting to go back to the moon. So um, I'm ready.
I've seen the way some people keep their cars, and they're like driving down the highway and parts are falling off.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, I have a little concern that's happening over the top of my head. So uh, maybe
Well, when I
maybe not
started,
having the flying cars
it's
actually
a good idea.
save. Yeah.
Well, that's when I thought when I first started. Within the first hours of um of aviation school, or of flight school, I realized, oh, this is not for anybody. No wonder we don't have flying cars. This is a little bit harder.
Did you see? I think it was a 747 on its way from like to Hawaii, and like the right engine
Right.
and the
I saw
cowling
the
like
pictures and saw quick comments on how people were reacting. I don't know the flight number and all that, but yeah, I saw the pictures and the video of that thing on fire and the thing falling on people's houses. That's crazy.
I know, and this is a plane that is routinely inspected, that is being maintained by professionals, that is regulated by the FAA. So,
Mhm.
if you ever need a
Rare.
poster to say, flying cars, that might be the.
That's not might not be the great idea. Yeah, people always say like, "Why do you want to fly? That's so scary. Don't you want to? You're gonna die. How are you? You're just flying." And they're correct. That's always a possibility, but it's more likely, like you said, to die in a car crash or something. And the way I try to explain aviation safety to them is, imagine if you go to the store, around the corner from your house, and every time you get on your car, you have to check your tires for tire right pressure. You have to check your oil, check your battery, you check your gas. Literally stick a stick in there to check how much gas there is in there. And then you get on the car, you fix all your mirrors, you rev the engine, you rev it twice, you rev it three times, you go and test your brakes, you test your RPMs, you test all your batteries, all your plugs, all your blinkers and everything, and then decide to drive to the corner store, right? Then you get off, then you do it all over again just to go back to the corner store. Like, there's a lot less accidents that would happen if we took it that serious, right? If it took that to get our license, our driving license, then there will be a lot of fewer people or fewer people getting their driver's license. So
Or I
that
can you
makes
imagine
sense to some
having
people.
air traffic control at a four-way stop.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. uh, Ford 27,
Go
proceed to the
ahead.
right.
Exactly. Exactly.
Now, aviators have all these sayings uh, that they like to say, like little uh, tips and tricks that
Hmm.
have been reduced to sayings. I was
Hmm.
wondering, I have one particular in mind that I love, but before sharing it with you, I was wondering if you had some sayings from your aviation training that are
I
some of
do.
your
I have a
favorite.
few. The first one that comes to mind is one in Spanish, but I'll tell you the other one first. There's always the from high to low, look out below, right? I don't
Okay.
know if you heard that one. From
Uh-huh.
high altitude, high temperature, high, your instruments will tell you otherwise. So you got to be able to watch out below. There might be mountains if you're going from low to high, clear the sky, right? That means that you can fly. You're safe to fly. So that's one to remember. But one that I think it's funny and it makes sense was told by me from an Argentinian fighter pilot in Spanish. He was an instructor. He says, "Yeah, I flew many years um, in Argentina." He was an older guy, and he says in Spanish is velocidad y altura salva tu dentadura, which means speed and altitude saves your dentures, right? So that I will always remember. Okay, I gotta have speed and I gotta have altitude. That's better for any kind of situation. So that's some of the sayings that I remember right off the top of my head. What are yours?
Yeah, there's only one that I love saying over and over again, and that is, it's better to be on the ground wishing you were in the sky than to be in the sky wishing you were on the
You're in
ground.
the ground. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
There's another one that I thought about when I saw that engine on fire. As my instructor always says, raise the dead. When you practice, you raise the dead engine, right?
Oh,
So you're
right.
flying kind of in a crab position. So raise the dead engine, raise the dead, right? So that's one of the thing. I can't think now. They put me on the spot. I'm trying to think of others, and I can't. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think there's like an acronym like I'm safe, and each of the letters stands for like something you're supposed to check. Uh,
right, or
yeah.
gumps, gas, undercarriage, manifold, pressure. Gumps.
Oh yeah, Gumps. Right
Hmm.
before landing.
Right.
Yeah.
Which hopefully I used to say it and I'll get confused with other things that I'm not checking something. So I believe is Gumps is I know they
Uh,
call it fuel, so I don't know what the G is for, if it's either gas,
uh,
but I know that U is
is it
undercarriage, so the
gauges?
gear
Maybe?
gauges probably, yeah. Gauges undercarrier, manifold, so pressure, and the S for something else.
Huh. Yeah, and
Flat. uh,
I think there's like a Gump C with a C at the
yeah,
end for like the man, I clear this is the thing. The most dangerous thing I think is not to fly enough, right? It's
right,
like
exactly.
it's like you really, if you want to have the hope of living, you should go flying at least once a week, right?
Yeah, yeah,
I
you
mean,
do. There's so much information and so many things that can come across that can happen. So you want to be well prepared, of course.
yeah. Talking
Now
about,
I'm gonna be thinking all night, man, on another acronyms or another sayings. So yeah,
yeah, luckily we both know a 97er that we can ask.
there you go. Yeah, we're gonna ask him. I'm gonna ask him tonight.
Yeah. So if it was safe and affordable, would you go to space?
Of course, put me. I always tell people like put me on the top of the rocket, man. I want to be first. Like I said, it's still that probably that childhood dream, right? To see the world like how they paint it on how you see it on TV or whatever. See that round marble. See things from a perspective that we're not meant to see. Like I said, I keep on saying this to people. Like we're not meant to fly. This is a miracle. When you see a big metal thing on the sky flying, that is basically a miracle. So it's that thing that you put you in a level. Not that I think I'm better than anybody, but I'm very proud of being able to like, man, not a lot of people have gotten to see this view. So I can't even imagine those few hundred or a few thousand astronauts that have been into outer space. Not a lot of people get to see that. So out of how many humans we've estimated that have lived on this planet, only those people have been able to see that site, right? So yeah, I want to see it all before our time is up here because I don't know what's next. But yeah, I would like to see as much as possible.
And our friend David, he is trying out for that Inspiration 4 contest. Did you get to watch
Okay.
his video?
I haven't seen it. He hasn't told me much about it, so I'm gonna ask him tonight, and I'm excited for him. So
Yeah, I watched this video. It's awesome. I hope he wins it. Wouldn't it be so cool? You and I would both know like an astronaut. Like,
that would be cool. That would be really cool. Yeah, that would be amazing. You know, I've met an astronaut. He did a speech here on my college, and it was a very inspirational story because he's a Mexican American. I'm a Mexican American, and he was a he comes from, you know, the lowest of standards of living, which is migrant workers, right? His father was a migrant worker. He was a migrant worker as a kid, and then he explained to us that he said, you know what, why not try to be an astronaut when he was already graduated in school and everything. And he goes, well, I applied for the program and I got rejected, right? I was like, well, why? Well, because you're not an engineer or you're not anything, right? So he went and got an electrical engineer degree, you know, at a California school. Got that. He's like, applied again, gets rejected. Well, you know, he started noticing that a lot of these astronauts were pilots. So he's like, okay, I got a bachelor's, I got an engineering degree. Maybe I'll become a pilot, like you and I, right? Just a private pilot. So he did that, and then he got picked up as to go as an electrical engineer. He got accepted to the astronaut program, and became an electrical engineer in space. And now he's living the dream, right? You think it's for him. Of course, it comes with a lot of hard work and a lot of. I'm sure he's ranked very highly among engineers and highly among pilots, but it's still something that is possible. You know, so, sometimes we think it's impossible for us to become an astronaut, but it is. It very well be. We're living in a time now where it's even more accessible, right? You can win this contest and go to space. You can be an actor like Tom Cruise and end up going to space or something like that. So yeah, it's
or
possible.
or even you could earn $55 million and you could go to
And just
space.
put yourself by a seat. Correct.
Yeah. And now you know
That was
$55 million isn't what it used to be.
I hope to get at least one soon. So yeah, I'll be okay with that.
Yeah. Well, Jose, I really appreciate your time. I know we covered a lot of ground, but is there anything that you wanted to talk about that we didn't get to?
No, that's about it. I hope you get to talk to more people about this, and I'd like to check out your channel and see what they have to say. It was very entertaining. It was fun.
Yeah, and I don't know how you feel about round numbers. I have a natural affinity to them. But
Okay.
today is 1400 days until the end of 2024. So
Oh,
this is
nice.
for
Thanks.
number 1400.
I'm the 1400. Okay, cool. I like it. I'll take it.
Okay. Well, you have a good night, and thank you so much for taking some time out.
Yes, sir. No worries. Same to you. Good luck.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.